Hey everybody, this is Ask the Sensei, the VO Dojo's free webinar. We are joined by our very own Techno Sensei, Dan Lenard, who you also might know from VOBS and from the Home Studio Master. And we're also joined by Ryan Ricks and Brittany Cox, who are demo producers here in LA. We're both at the dojo, and so we're here to answer whatever voiceover questions you have. All of us have insights on demos, so if you have demo questions, it's great to ask them. But we're open to all questions. Dan is a huge resource technically. Yeah, it looks like we have a good blend of people who are like right in that demo, what do I do mode here. If you haven't written in the chat where you're calling from, that's great. And most importantly, we'd love to get started with some questions. So on the bottom of your menu, bottom of the screen, you should have a menu bar, and there's a question and answer folder. So
I could even start off with the question.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, before we do that, do you guys want to introduce yourselves? I mean, Dan, you're here often, so I think people are familiar. But do you want to give yourself a little introduction about what you do, and then
Sure.
Ron, can you tell us a little bit about your background as well?
Sure. Well, I'm a full-time voice actor, and I am an expert on creating home voiceover studios, and which is a lot less complex than people think. And my job is to make it simpler for you and to not overthink it all that much. Mm-hmm. So, I'm the guy to call if you need that kind of help.
Exactly.
Don't talk to studio engineers; they know diddly.
They know too much, right? They know more.
No, they know very little about your closet.
Good.
It's true.
Very true. Very true.
Excellent.
And hi guys. So we're Brittany and Ryan. I'm a full-time voiceover artist, and Ryan is a audio engineer as well as composer, and we produce demos for voiceover artists.
Right. And Ryan, you're, in addition to being an engineer, you're also a composer, and you've worked for many years at top studios in the Pacific Northwest market, right? And
Yep. Specializing specifically in voice casting and music placement. So my job was essentially to pare down 200 demos to the top 10 that would go to a client. So I've listened to a lot of demos.
That's good. It's very good. And you guys are down in LA now.
Glendale, what?
Excellent. Okay, well let's get started. So we have one question, and guys, let me reiterate. It's a question and answer webinar, so really good to have questions. and even if it seems like whatever the question's about, like even if it's, gosh, I don't even know what question to ask. Oh, there we go. Now we've got some questions. Excellent. So let's start with Iris's sort of logistical one. Dan, can you share your contact info? Iris is asking for your contact info.
Oh, absolutely. You can go either to my website, homevoiceoverstudio.com. Don't ask me how I lucked out and got that one. And be an early, an early adapter, I think is what it's all about. And you can reach me at Dan@danlenard, LENARD.com.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yes, I do want to qualify my engineering statement there, though, for Ryan, because
except for the cool one.
It doesn't count for musicians, but musicians shouldn't be advising people on home voiceover studios because there's a huge difference. Not that you would tell them anything wrong, but the references I find, people who try to start a home studio and talk to them, I got a musician friend, I got this recording engineer. And the fact of the matter is they totally overthink the entire process. And my job is to simplify it. So, but you're probably a really good engineer.
We have a home studio too, so
okay.
In a closet for many years.
That's the thing about this scenario, but we can, we get different perspectives too. So
absolutely,
it's very good. Okay, so let's start with some questions. So let's see. Margaret asked, as a British voiceover, female, how do I get work in America? So I think that in some ways the market is getting so that it almost doesn't matter where you are, as long as you can deal with time differences and introduce yourself as someone who's available, that you would present yourself just as you would to anyone in the market that you're working with, as an authentic British female voice, and take it from there, knowing that you need to figure out how to work with people who will be down with you being not in the place where they are. Any other insights on that? Dan, do you have any insights? I know with Wovo, Dan is also one of the, what are you, a Muck? You're Uppy Up? He's an Uppy Up.
I am a founding board member and vice president of technical standards for World Voices, which is the industry association of freelance voice talent.
But there's a big international element to Wovo. So.
Oh, there is, and that's why we're called World Voices. So we deal with a lot of people who are in Europe, in Asia, Australia. You got a lot of Australian and UK members, and we also have an entire Spanish language track we call WovoSpan, because there's a lot of people in Latin America who are getting involved with our organization, which is fabulous. Having done a lot of work myself internationally, trying to get work in this country is one of those things where you've got to be input into the casting systems here, either having an agent here, being listed on, with several agents who have access to an American market, who are, because many, many times if you're looking, say, in Voice 1, 2, 3, you will see looking for a British accent, and that will, and they're going to go, oh, I got this person here, and they're going to throw you those types of auditions. So the trick is going to be finding representation here. Fortunately, there are some very good independent agents here in the States that have actually aligned with each other to make sure that people are getting access to really high quality stuff. And, I can give you a couple of names of these people because I'm with all of them, and they never send me anything for British accent because they know I can't do one. So
excellent. Maybe you could put those in the chat.
Sure.
Your suggestions. Now, here's another interesting little piece of advice, Margaret, as someone who's British working in the American market. I book a lot of stuff that, as American, doing British accents. And I remember really clearly one day walking into my agency, and it's just full of real Brits. And the call was for authentic British accents. So I was in a lobby full of real Brits, and I went into the recording, to the booth, and said, "Oh wow, there's a lot of real Brits here." And the voiceover, the booth director said, "Yeah, they never book." And I was like, "What?" He said, "They don't understand the American energy. So they have the authentic British accent, but there's really different understandings of how the energies work." For example, in the promo world, right, if you listen to just BBC, straight up BBC, you listen to a promo and it's very much like, and next up is something we think you'll really enjoy. My sister watched it last Tuesday and it was lovely, right? It's just kind of like someone whispering in your ear, and the energy is a little bit different. As opposed to BBC America, you might have more energy, more American. So that's something else to keep in mind when you're looking for work in other markets. It might be worthwhile to listen to American stuff so you get that energy in. Yeah. Excellent. Well, hopefully that is helpful. And let's see, we've got that. Let's see. Catherine in New York is just about to do the You Should Do Voiceover Intensive, which is very exciting. I have representation and we're working to reactivate my agents. Once I'm ready, I'd like some recommendations about how to do it in New York. I have some old bookings, but basically my demo will be from scratch since those are old and I don't have recordings, unless I can use a montage of my Nickelodeon series where I'm the teacher. So look forward to hearing from y'all. So, okay, so this is a really interesting question, and some of you might be at this place. You have a demo or you have a bunch of work that you've done that you want to create a demo around. So let's see, there's a couple layers to this question. There's the whole understanding the market that you're in, right? Are you in LA? Are you in New York? Are you in a regional market? And how do you work there? The question of taking your experience and putting it into a demo. And then also inherent in here is understanding that different genres would have different demos, right? If you have Nickelodeon stuff, then you would create an animation demo out of that, and commercial demo or narration demo, or like the specifics of that. So Ryan and Brittany, why don't you talk a little bit, why don't you take that question about just how would you approach taking someone who has stuff, or maybe that is old, how do you know when it's old? How would you address this?
Do you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah. So the great thing about demos, and I saw someone kind of ask this question a little bit down the line as well. Great thing about demos is they don't have to be work that you've actually done. When you're doing a demo, it can be work you've actually done, but it doesn't have to be. So if you feel that it's old and it doesn't represent you as a voiceover artist now, don't use it. What we want to hear in a demo is who you are now, what you can bring to the party. If I hire you to do my commercial, do I hear what you sound like in your demo? You know, we want to know what we're buying. It's kind of like I like, for any of you that are on camera actors or theater actors as well, it's kind of like a headshot. A casting director doesn't want to see a headshot that doesn't look like the person that's actually coming in the room. You know, so this demo needs to be what you can actually do and what you bring to the party.
Mm-hmm.
That answered the question.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on.
And it's a blend, right?
Yeah.
And it can totally be a blend, as far as, you know, if the work that you've done is still very current and relevant in terms of your sound. And that's the main thing, is it's not so much like, you know, I did this 5 years ago, or I did this, you know, yesterday. It's more about the timeliness of the sound. Like, is this still me? Is this still where my voice lives? Is this my baseline? Is this still representing the best of what I bring? Or, you know, does it feel outdated? Does it feel whatever? And that's kind of why the headshot reference is so good, because when you look at that picture, you know, you say, wow, I definitely don't look like that anymore. Probably should get new headshots. And it really becomes simplified in that way. So you just have to be really honest. Even though you might have like this really amazing Nickelodeon credit, if that's not what you can bring into the room, then you kind of just have to make the hard call of eliminating it and developing something new, whether it be work that you've currently done for another client, or if it's working with demo producers like us, where we'll write original scripts for you based on what your talents are today and now. So.
Like on my demo, I still use one of the first spots that I ever booked because it's the best out ever. It's a Bally's Fitness spot, and the out is, would you like the number to call? I bet you would. So it's, Bally's is still in existence, and that nice little way out. So and then you also want to make sure that the products that are on there are not like, oh wow, Circuit City, that was our business.
Yeah, right.
Like no beepers, no payphones. Don't do that.
AOL, instant message.
Right. Good. And then the other really important thing to know about creating your first demo and then creating variations of your demo is you always want to think of your first demo as like an awesome first draft. And so there'll be this thing because you're presenting yourself to the world in the first time. Like, oh, I want it to be absolutely perfect, and you do in this moment, and you want to understand that the best case scenario is that your demo gets you a job that you can do in 2 weeks and then put something new in there. So you just want to look at it like a canvas that's going to be in constant flux to always be putting the best you out. So that's another good mindset. It's not like, here's my demo, the holy secret document. Cool. Yes, let's see. That seems like a good amount. Let us know if you have other follow-up questions, Catherine. Peter asks, how much does your average demo cost to produce? 1 minute long.
Oh, that's a tough question. Well, first, it depends on where you are, demo-wise. Depending on where you are in the country or outside the country. We've seen people do demos for $400. We've seen people do them for $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
It goes all over the place. That's a hard question. And yes, demos should be 60 to 90 seconds, no more than 90 seconds.
And that's more in the genre thing, like in a narration or maybe animation, but on average, especially if you're doing a commercial demo, 60 seconds is plenty. Absolutely. Tish, any about average demo costs? Well, that is the range. I mean, there are people out there who will charge even more for a demo. So I think the things you need to keep in mind are, what markets are you going after? Is whoever's producing your demo going to be creating something that's going to be competitive in that market? Do they have an understanding of that market? Is the product that they're putting out competitive in that market? And then, a little bit like headshots. So this doesn't necessarily have to do with pricing, although it does, because really what you want to do is find someone who's the right fit for you, someone who gets you, someone who makes you feel comfortable, heard, reflects back what you want to be putting out in the world, that you feel like you can have a good, fun time on. So you don't want to go to the $3,000 demo producer just because everyone's doing that if they make you feel like, about it. And everyone's going to have different reactions to different people. So it's more about finding that right fit. And then also, like anything else, you kind of get what you pay for, right?
Very true.
If you buy the $400 this instead of the, so you have to find what's most important, and just like a car, just because you've paid $75,000 for a car, it'll be a good car, but what I'm saying, you kind of have to feel that out of what's more important. And in the same way as a car, if you're paying for a luxury brand, then part of what you're paying for is a luxury brand. But like for instance, for many years, my husband's mom had a Jaguar, and it was always like, oh cool, we get to drive the Jaguar when we go home. And it was so uncomfortable. tall people. It was like really hard to get into. It was cool, but it was like not for us, right? That's not the car I would buy. So taking all those, so I like to say somewhere in the $1,200 to $1,500 range is you're probably getting a good sort of thing, but feel it out because you'll know.
And it also depends on, take a look at what they include with the demo,
That's true.
with the pricing. There are some people that don't include copy. There's some people that the price doesn't include music or sound effects. Or it's shorter or longer. So those are things to ask. So definitely do your research and see if you can chat with them on the phone or have a meeting. With our clients, we always meet beforehand to just chat with them, see where they're at, if they're ready for a demo, and kind of what they're looking for. So,
any thoughts, Dan? Any insights or?
On finding the right person to do your demo?
Well,
I think
the question was what about price range, and I think inherent in that is finding the right person.
Well, I think the question also needs to be answered of what type of a demo are we talking about?
Right.
If you're talking a commercial demo, like they're saying, it's all over the board, and you can pay upward. I've heard of $3,000 and stuff like that. I have found that the people who charge an awful lot, and I'm just being honest here, tend to show off their fabulous production facilities and their skill at it, and then you listen to the demo, go, "Where's the voice?" It gets buried in there, and it's happened to me, and I'm like, wait a second, you've way overmixed it, you've way overproduced it, you're trying to make it sound like you could have actually sounded like if you had done that spot. And I guess there's just different philosophies on it, especially here in Hollywood, because some agents will say, "Oh man, this guy does the greatest demo, he's the hottest thing ever," and there's other people go, "Yeah," so there's it. Some of it is it's with trends and styles and stuff like that, and it's important that you have a really good understanding of the marketplace in which you're trying to get your demo done. In commercial, there's different philosophies on it. You've got to find somebody, as you said, who understands you, somebody who knows what you're capable of. What is your voice like? Can they write copy for you? And not just say, "Here's some copy," but take that copy and write it for you so it will represent you in the best light. And then make sure that demo producer also knows that when you go into a booth and someone says, "Hey, can you do it like you did on the second cut on that demo of yours?" You better darn well be able to do it exactly that same way and be able to call that back up. And a good demo producer is also a very good coach and director, and they're going to show you, this is how you do this, and make sure that you understand it and are able to reproduce that. Right. And those are the people that you're going to pay, if not top dollar, but you're going to pay a reasonable fee for to get that done.
Right, and then ideally, really good people will say, "You know what? You're not ready.
You're not ready." Yeah.
This is going to take too long. I could get you there. But we want to make sure you're coming in so that you can do it. You can do everything that's on your demo. So a good demo producer will say, "Come back." That's actually one of the most powerful early experiences in my career, and I've been doing this for 20 years, for a really long time. I had a really good demo producer, and I went and did a session with her, and she said, "You're 98% ready, and I'm not going to produce your demo." And I was like, "Oh," she said, "You have to be 110%. You have to be 130% ready to jump into this market." And this was 20 years ago. So it's even more so now. And Dan just brought up in a point that I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, and we'll come back to Kaisha. I think that's how you say it, Kaisha's question. But Matthew is also talking about updating old demos. And best in, so this is kind of on the subject. But Dan just brought up the idea of how do you create the scripts, or how do you get the material? And you don't want to use their aged scripts that have been used to death. So how do you get fresh personal scripts. So talk to who you're working with. Different people have different ways that they work. I'll have you guys talk about it in a second, how you work with it. And then your last question, Matthew, is could I write some of your own? My advice about this is if you're a copywriter, if you have been a copywriter or have spent a lot of time in this realm of understanding what writing copy is, yeah, and then work with your demo producer to get it handled. If you're not, don't worry about it. I do think that you want to listen to a lot of work that the demo producer has out there, and if you hear the same spot on other things, I always not that it's necessarily bad. I always look at it like, oh, wait a minute, I just heard that spot. And getting things that are fresh of the moment. And of the trend as well. I think that's really super important. Like what are we hearing out there? And if you're getting a new outfit to wear out now, that it reflect that. So how do you guys approach this, Brittany and Ryan?
So I mean, included with all of our stuff is we write original copy for all of our clients. And so we see that as a really integral part of what we do. And that's where the demos really is won or lost, is there. In my experience working in voice casting, one thing that we talk about a lot is that your demo never gets listened to in isolation. Your demo is always being heard in context of the other demos that are up for the project and or what's on the television, what's on the radio, what's out there. There's no such thing as, oh, this demo sounds so great. And then you put it out there and it's just this treasure trove of this wonderful thing that you have. It's always being bashed up against, the 30 that are up for this job and the 50 that are up for this job and whatever. And so in that regard, the copy plays a really big role in providing that differentiation factor for you. If you have, just like Tish was saying, if you have copy that, especially in my context, when I'm listening through 100 demos and I keep hearing things pop up, it breaks the illusion and it distracts from the goal, which is getting them to buy into your sound. And it's basically like the whole goal of the demo is not to distract from you. It's putting your voice up front and center and then getting out of the way and making sure that is what people are able to connect with. Mm-hmm. If you're going through in that context of listening through 100 demos at a time and you're hearing similar things, it's like, oh, okay. But it's also that, oh, okay. It puts that shred of doubt in there and it's a distraction. It's different. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we put a lot of emphasis and care into our initial meetings with our clients that we work with, because it's really important to find out what draws you in, what makes you want to do this, why you care, what you're invested in, what your goals are, and then tailoring and writing scripts that reflect all of that and that are just for you, and that it gives you the best chance to stand out versus having that added distraction of, oh, I've heard that before or whatever, and it puts you current, it puts you up front, and it's really important.
And one of the foundational principles of what we do here at the Dojo, one of the foundational ideas is that voiceover is communication, and communication is an exchange of vibrational energy. So inherent in that is if you are talking about something that really resonates for you, that is you really sharing what is your true feeling about that is going to come through. So the way we like to work is, why would you, especially if you have this ability to create this reflection of you have complete artistic control of what you're creating. So why not have everything, or how can we make sure that everything that's on there is something that really resonates for you? So you may have a great voice. You may have a great voice, like, oh, you have a great voice for wash machines. Like, oh, that would be perfect. Like sort of mom, sort of, whatever voice. That would be great for washing machines. If you hate doing laundry, don't put a washing machine thing on your demo, right? So once again, how do you find stuff that is a reflection of what you can bring to the marketplace, but is also really going to allow me or any listener to go like, oh, that was so true. I loved that. That really moved me, or that made me laugh because it was so true. So where you get the material is secondary to, is that material really reflecting? Does that material resonate with you? And then you add all the factors together. Yes. Let's see. Dan, there was a question up here for you. What did Kiesha? I may be massacring your name. Sorry. What are the first steps to creating a home studio in a closet? And what materials and equipment should I consider buying?
Okay, well, it's not one of those single answer questions. This is stuff that we teach, and it's an entire process. And a lot of times people say, "Well, what's the best microphone, or what's the best equipment I should get?" My philosophy is it's not about the equipment; it's how you use it. That does not mean you buy a crappy mic. Like a Snowball or a Yeti or something like that. They're great to learn on, but you really need to have something that's going to capture you as you exist. The problem is, and I think many people don't understand this, when doing home, voiceover in a home studio, 90% of the quality of your audio is far more dependent on whether you're coughing or not, or on the acoustics. The acoustics of the room are by far the most important thing you need to consider. You're dealing with two separate different things. You're trying to keep sound out from the outside, and you're trying to prevent reflection of sound from the inside. So you need certain acoustical treatments. The great thing about a closet is it gives you, depending on where the closet is, both of those factors, especially if you got a lot of clothes hanging in there. And I know a lot of people making a lot of money next to their pants and shirts and blouses and underwear. So it's, and making good money at it, because they understand that, using a microphone properly in that environment, they can do it. The question becomes, do I buy an expensive microphone? No, you get a good microphone somewhere in the neighborhood of $250 or better, but not much more than that. The more expensive a mic, the more sensitive it is. And in a home studio, too sensitive is not a great idea, because then you'll start hearing toilets flushing, people walking through the kitchen. Anything that's marginal may actually get on there. And there's things that you don't hear in your home because your brain tunes them out what's the word I use? I'm getting old. I can't remember. It's a monotonous tone. Like your refrigerator. If you're sitting in your kitchen and you forget you have a refrigerator, your refrigerator's still making noise. And then you listen to it, and then you hear it. The thing is, your microphone will hear it, and it doesn't discriminate the way your brain does. Mm-hmm. So you have to have a thorough analysis of what's going on in there. So you can set up in a closet. You need a good studio condenser mic, like I said, about $250. You need a mic stand, preferably a boom stand, so you can hang the mic properly like this. And then using, if there's a lot of clothing in there, start to record using your computer and software, which is a whole nother deal. Mm-hmm. And then submit your audio to someone like me, and who can give an analysis of what the room sounds like and what recommendations can be made to make it sound proper. Because there's a way it's supposed to sound, and it's not dependent on an expensive microphone. It's not dependent on having a big channel strip that's going to be able to add lots of bass to your voice, or a big expensive preamp. It's about a real simple connection, microphone to an interface with a good preamp in it, into your computer. And the rest of it is the stuff. And again, I have to apologize to Ryan. I mean, It's not, engineers know it, especially recording engineers. They're very, very good at recording stuff usually in a pristine, acoustically sterile and neutral environment, which a closet studio or generally a home-built studio is not. And so the reason they do that is because it takes a lot of the factors that would cause bad audio out. And therefore, you can put a $10,000 Telefunken microphone in one of those things, and it's going to sound fabulous. But you put that in your closet, and you're going to hear ants marching in your backyard. So, it's one of those things that every single home studio has to be custom thought out. Every voice is different. Every room is different. The size of the room is different. The material the room is made out of is different. And your voice is different. And how your voice responds to that environment is different for everybody. So it's important that you are able to submit audio to somebody who knows exactly what it's supposed to sound like from a home studio perspective, who can say, okay, you're under a shelf, I can hear it, or I hear a truck go by, or there's too much reflection off the back wall, or the ceiling is too high, or you need to put some acoustical treatment up there. Maybe it's the way your microphone is. Maybe you're creating too many plosives. It's 90% of it is acoustics, mic technique, and setting proper levels. And that's the thing that people need to learn, and that's not something you're going to learn overnight.
Right. Well, Dan, people can send you a specimen, right?
They can. As a matter of fact, if they go to my website, homevoiceoverstudio.com, at the bottom of the homepage, there is a specimen collection cup. And you just click on that, and that takes you to a Dropbox. You can send me an MP3 of your file. I don't charge for analysis of a file. And if it's something major, then we can talk about a more complete consultation. But if it sounds good, I'm going to tell you. It might be, your levels are a little low. You might want to tick it up a tick, something along those lines. Or you're not using proper mic technique. You're trying to use proximity effect too much. You're popping your P's. You sound rather sibilant. Let's address why that is, those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, and we can, if we can just type your email or your website in again, that would be great.
Sure, will do.
We also did a wonderful 4-hour workshop a couple of weeks ago called "You Should Have a Home Studio" that we have a recording of. So if you're interested in that, because it goes in kind of in depth into a lot of the stuff that Dan's talking about, laying foundations, and then really exploring how to be thinking about how do you develop your ear for good sound. So if you're interested in that, send us an email. We can get you the recording out. Good. Hopefully that is helpful. And once again, like the demo, creating your space is something that's going to be evolving over the course of your career as well. You'll start with one mic, and then you'll grow into another mic, and someone else will take it, or that will become your travel mic, or you're going to move houses, or you'll upgrade, and it's evolving as well. Good. So let's see. Hi, Kara. Are you in America or in Down Under? We can never tell with Kara. So Kara says, I'm getting ready to redo my commercial and narration demos, and was wondering if it's still a good idea to have all types of narration in one demo, or to have individual demos for different genres, for example, e-learning, explainer video, corporate B2B, etc. I think it really depends on how you're rolling. I mean, I think with all demos, you need to think how it is going to serve the client, right?
Yeah.
So what is the most direct way to get the client exactly what they need? So if you are targeting e-learning companies, then just send them, then put together an e-learning demo. I think if you have samples of a lot of different work that you're doing, or you're just starting out and you don't have, if it could serve you to have a general narration demo to start with, right? Because you can get started, and then you could just say click to track 3, or you could do oh, what is the thing that separates things out, Dan?
Separates things out.
Oh, I'm sorry. The takes
Commas,
on your demo.
semicolons.
On your demo. Is the guy that separates the takes on your demos? And
A slate?
no. No, he was a sponsor at Wovo. It's a
You're talking about VoiceSam.
VoiceSam, yes.
Yeah,
So there's things that you can do to take your demo and separate it out into pieces. So you could say, here's just my e-learning thing. So you can do both. But really the key is who's listening, what do they want to hear, and how do you create a variety of what they might want to hear. And then just on a really fundamental level, understanding that each genre should have its separate demo, and then you can go into detail within narration. You can have your e-learning, your explainer video, your corporate, your audiobook would be a whole nother thing. But that's really important. You never want to have all the things you can do on one thing. That's what your website's on. Any other thoughts on this?
I totally agree with everything Tish says, and this kind of goes into Catherine's next question about what about accents on all-on-one demo. So like what Tish was saying, you don't want to give them everything you can possibly do on one demo, because that's going to confuse somebody. So Catherine, it sounds like you do a lot of accents that sound legitimate. Like they're not character voices. They sound like real people from the South or Europe or wherever. What I would do is have your commercial demo with your voice and what you do, and then have an accents demo of, say, here's a smattering of all the accents I do. Or if you do a ton of different Southern accents, because, there's Georgia sounds very different from North Carolina, from backwoods Virginia, from Texas. They're all very different. So you could have a Southern accent reel. You want to, clients have no imagination. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to find exactly what they're looking for. So if they want a Southern accent, they want to be like, oh, she does Southern. Let me click that Southern demo. Oh, she does a bunch of different accents. That could be cool. Let me click that and see what she does. Or I just want to hear what the chick sounds like. Let me click that. So, I would not throw it all in your one commercial demo, because that's going to be confusing. And they're going to be like, who is this person? I don't understand what I'm getting. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I think also another way you could think about it, if it is something that you do, you could have it like little peppered in flavor, a little like, ooh, a little touch of, well, hi y'all, or whatever, like that would just be like a little seasoning or a little different flavor as a tinge in your commercial demo. And then if it's something that you're very, very specialized, then that becomes something that you could on your website just have, these are accents that I do. Or I know people who have had great success, like they did a lot of impressions as well. That's something you can showcase in that way of like, oh, you can do that.
I mean, just to jump on real quick, just like a good framework to think about it is like we always talk about your commercial demo being like your baseline. Like this is me this is me at my essence, and you have the different shades of and kind of calibrations of you. If you imagined your energy and your personality on a scale of 1 to 10, that you've got something from 1 to 10 represented in that commercial demo without coming across as a different person, without putting on a character, without whatever. And that is, kind of goes along with what Tish was saying about having your accents sprinkled in as some extra flavor to help kind of push that, push those levels around so you get a really nice, exciting and variety-filled demo. And then if you specialize in something, I always think about it just like when I'm submitting for my music clients. They send out a brief of, hey, I'm looking for somebody that, that can write this kind of thing. And rather than sending them like, here's everything I do, I just tailor this, a few music tracks or something specifically to their needs. And so if accents is what you do and you're getting asked to do that a lot, then that's an opportunity for you to create like a specialized little thing that you can just have on hand to do. But I mean, the way that I always think about it is it's great to have your big genres covered. So you've got your strong commercial sound. And then if you are interested in narration or in, character work for animation or whatever, you have those all separated out. And then if there's something very specific that you do, it could be helpful to have that on hand in a separate little thing that's just, like 20, 30 seconds, maybe minimal production, something that's just like, bam, here it is. And you can send that out whenever you get a request for that very specialized thing that you do.
Right. And I think the other thing to keep in mind too is if there's something about an accent that is inherently you, like you guys are from North Carolina, so that wouldn't be my first impression about you guys, but having just
no one realizes that
it's a secret.
A bit of time in North Carolina, you would understand that like if you put a Southern accent on it, then it should probably be something about North Carolina, just have that little tinge of what you know about, like what you just know inherently in your bones. Or I'm from Chicago, so if I had a piece, I was like, oh my God, you have to go, right? That would be something I just know. Or Dan's from Buffalo, he knows Buffalo, he knows that area, right? So if you have something, rather than, well, I do the best Southern accent, I'm totally from Chicago, but it's like, okay, you do it, but is that the truest reflection of you, right? Good. Anything to add, Dan?
Well, I think you covered it pretty good there.
Good. Yes, let's see what else we got here. So we've kind of been talking about how do you find Peggy? Hi, Peggy. How do you find the right demo producer? I think it's Peggy asks, how do you find a demo producer that's the right fit for you? How do you audition them or find former clients? I think it's just like if you've been in the business of acting, you've interviewed people for headshots, or if you haven't been in the business of acting, like I had some guys come talk to me about painting the house exterior, and they had their little case and their little like thing that shows the waterproofing thing, and they had their spiel and they had all of their we're bonded and doody-doo and here's all the samples. So it's just like, how do you choose anything to find the right what for you, right? You need to know what market you're working in. You need to know what market you'd like to be working in. You need to know, you need to listen and see how it feels to you. Listen to their work. I think talking to former clients is a great thing, because you might hear something, you might hear a great finished product and then have someone go like, yeah, it was really not the best process, or oh, it was the most exciting process in the world. You should totally work with them. Right? And then you might go and meet them and go like, oh, you so remind me of my creepy uncle or something like that. You might have a completely different visceral like resonation with them. So it's really,
like dating.
It's like dating.
Yeah, it's totally like dating.
Like dating. It is like
Not
dating.
that I remember that well, but
Right. But also like dating, there's something about having the boyfriend that everyone has, right? Oh, everyone goes to that demo producer. And there's something about finding the demo producer that you don't necessarily need to go out with the captain of the football team if that's not you, right? even though even though there would be probably benefits to that. So,
yeah, I think it's really important to understand that, there are so many demo producers out there, and finding the right one is not an easy task. And it should not be an easy task. It should be a good piece of homework for you to do. As you were saying, who are the producer's clients? Are there any big names, people who are very big in the business, who have trusted them with their voice to present them to to casting directors and stuff? I think that's really important. And and of course, listen to their work and not respond the way my wife did when she heard one of my demos and said, "Where are you?" So, it's somebody who understands the balance between presenting you and presenting you as you exist and how you will exist in somebody's studio. And, I think that's a really good, rule of thumb to go by. And, but I'm curious with Brittany and Ryan, what's your process? How is it that you go about working with someone to create a demo?
Good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're from the East Coast, so we have a very no nonsense approach to everything.
Right. Yeah.
So, the first thing that we do, which we take a lot of care in, is getting to know you. So we have a no obligation, just meet up. If you're here in LA, we'll go meet you for coffee, take you to lunch, whatever, and just chat, really. Not even necessarily.
Or if you're not in LA, we talk on the phone or Skype
or whatever. Yeah, we're about to record a client in Chicago, and then we just finished a demo for a client in Atlanta. So we get around. The internet's great. And the first thing that we do is we try and get a sense of who you are. Because one of the intangibles about working with a demo producer and how if they're the right fit for you is it's really how they respond to you. That's one of those things. I mean, it's kind of like anybody can go and get a free version of Pro Tools and throw music and record yourself or whatever. The technical aspect of it, of this, that, and the other, is not where the real value is. The real value is when you communicate yourself, communicating about yourself with somebody. Do they hear you? Are they understanding what it is that you're trying to put out to the world? And they're hearing you through the filter of all of the experience that they've had. When we have our meetings with our potential clients, all of that is getting filtered through all of my time in voice casting. All of that is getting filtered through Brittany's time for the last, working as a voiceover artist. All of that is getting lumped in to how we develop a very specific and tailored approach for you. And just like Tish was saying, a big part of that is anything can be on your demo, so why not make it something that is unique and special and something you care about, so we take time to figure out what do you like to do? Do you enjoy hiking? Do you love music? Are you into pets? Or do you do painting? Or
do you hate children?
Do you hate children? All the things. And finding those things out allows us, when we start writing copy for you, to build in a natural connection to what you're going to read. Which, and going back to our first little statement there, is that's really where your demo gets won and lost. We don't ever go into a magazine or this or that and just pull random stuff. This is about you, and this is about getting you on the page so that when you come into the studio, it's like you're already in the winner's circle. You know what I mean? All you have to do is just bring yourself. We've set you up to success by giving you things that you can connect with in the copy. And then from there, it's all the nerdy stuff. It's all the mic technique on my end. It's all the,
we coach you through the session. So, it's not good luck.
Yeah, right. And we're providing instant feedback and coaching in the process, and doing it just like a real session. A director will say, "Oh, I really want you to do it this way. Can you throw a little, stank on that line? Can you spin it up this way? Or maybe, phrase it down instead of up?" And, we work on these things to get all the, the best performance recorded. And then from there, we go in, and I have a very extensive library of music and sound effects. And a lot of times I'll even augment those things, or I'll write original music for certain spots. So there's an added value there in terms of that perspective. And it all gets produced, at high quality industry standard level, and you get that sucker. And, you go out into the world and you have something that really represents you. And just while we're talking about our specific process, one of the things that we take a lot of pride in is our turnaround time. A lot of demo producers take their sweet time when it comes to getting your demo turned around. And from the date that you record with us, we guarantee the first version of your demo for review within 10 days. So, it's important to you and it's important to us. If you're going to invest in yourself to get a solid demo made with us, then we're going to invest our time wisely with you to make sure you get that sucker as quickly as possible so that you can go out and start making money.
Yeah.
And we understand that.
And the great thing that I love about working with Brittany and Ryan, we are working with them at the Dojo in collaboration with our training program, the Mystery to Mastery program. So in the Mystery to Mastery program, you may come in as a yellow belt if you're just starting out, just to explore and get a feel for things. And then we start honing in with each belt level. Green belt is about your self-exploration and doing your demo preparation. And then blue belt is about producing the demo. So it's giving yourself that time to develop what you need, or if you're halfway through the process, to just really hone in and focus and give yourself that time to do all the finding out about yourself and going deep and practicing. And then we work together. When we work with Brittany and Ryan, I'm there for the first part of the session, and then you guys roll. So it's a really nice collaboration, and we have a whole process of doing the self-exploration from the very beginning, where we work together. And that's a great segue to, we're right on 11 o'clock. So want to wrap it up to honor our time, and I also have a session to get to. But there's a couple questions that didn't get answered. So I think what we will try and do is get you a quick answer, by text or email, or by email. You can always sign up for a voiceover once-over with me. You can go to the VO Dojo site, www.thevodojo.com, and you can sign up for a voiceover once-over time, free 15 minutes. We can continue these discussions. And then one of the other cool things that's coming up is that Brittany and Ryan and I are going to be doing what we're calling a demo listen derby.
Yeah.
February 25th. I'm really excited about it. It's something that's been in my mind for a really long time. But whether you are just starting out, or you've been like training and you're like, I think I'm ready to do my demo, what should I be thinking about? If you have a demo that's not working as well as you'd like it to be, if you have a demo that, or if you're thinking about going into another realm, that's another thing we can consider. But what we're gonna do is make it a really fun, a fast and fun thing of send in your demo. We're gonna listen to the first 10 seconds of everyone's. And like Ryan said, like, boom, when you're listening to 200, boom, boom, boom.
It's a demo demolition derby.
But yeah. in a positive way. It's all going to be really, really friendly, and we'll give you feedback on like, okay, that's why. And then we'll go a little bit more into depth with it. We'll run as many as we can through a rubric of these are the things we're looking for. I call it the gauntlet, right? We're going to run it through the gauntlet, and you'll get feedback on that. And then hopefully we'll have time to do a few really more in depth, like more like what would happen in pulling apart as you start doing a session with your demo producer. So that's sort of the idea that we have in our mind. We'll see how it happens in real life. But February 21st, sign up and send your demos in. If we don't get to your demo, we're going to give everyone that feedback, that written feedback. So you'll get through the gauntlet. What else? If you are just starting out, or you know someone who's starting out, You Should Do Voiceover Intensive is coming up. We're doing the virtual 6-week version that starts February 17th. So you can join that from anywhere. And then there's a live weekend intensive that's coming up April 7th and 8th. So particularly if you're interested in the virtual one, give me a call as soon as possible, because that one is filling up. Let's see, what else? We'll try and get answers to the rest of these questions out to you. We do this the first Wednesday of every month. Dan and I are here, and then we have different guest sensei from different genres and different giving different insights. So, if you guys can you just say once again, Dan, how people can reach you?
Sure. They can reach me at homevoiceoverstudio.com or Dan at danlenard.com. And make sure you watch Voiceover Body Shop on Monday nights at obs.tv, because we talk about all this stuff as well, and we bring on a lot of the interesting guests from the industry.
It's really good. I've listened quite a few times. There's some great info on that.
Great. And then Brittany and Ryan, how do people get in touch with you? And there was also a question of how they can hear your work.
Yes. So I've just posted in the chat a link to our demo page that has some samples of our work, a little bit more just overview of our process and information about us. And then I've also included in there, just for you guys, my personal email address. So you guys can reach out to me with any questions regarding what we've talked about today, or if you are looking for next steps or whatever. All that's been posted in the chat there. And we're really looking forward to hearing from you and working with you. And please participate in the demo derby that's coming up.
It'll be super fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're really going to dive in and get really specific. So it'll be of an added, really valuable information and feedback. And then, what was our question? I want to answer the question.
I think you got it. That's good. And then in terms of anything Dojo, guys, go to the website, www.thevodojo.com. We really are here. Wherever you are on your journey, we're here to help guide, support, connect with the people you need to know, and accelerate the process. So from I don't know to working pro. So and that being said, I think there might be a few openings for the live VO Dojo Pro Fight Club that's coming up tomorrow night with looping director Sally Brooks. So if you're interested in that, the criteria is that you are have a demo representation in our booking to play in that working pro setting. But anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for the little bit of extra time. We'll try and get back to you on the questions, and hopefully we'll see you next month. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.